Today on the news and why it matters, the United States military has killed a top Iranian military leader. Also, Lizzie Warren is a really big fan of mass shootings. And Marvel is working on their first openly transgender character.
Finally.
Oh,
yes,
finally. Got a lot to get into, and it starts right now. Welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. I'm going to do my best to get through this with my voice.
Cheers.
If you'll notice, we don't have beer. We usually have beer on Fridays. There's no beer. It's tea because we're old and sick and stuff. In with me today, we've got Pat Gray from Pat Gray Unleashed.
Yay.
Yay. We've got Jason Bartlett, founder of the Boer Extinction.
Boer
Extinction.
Yes, my people would be proud.
South African activist, which we're going to get into his story here later in the show. It is quite amazing. And we've got Chad Prather, everyone's favorite cowboy.
Everybody's.
Chad Prather, host of the
Everyone's.
Chad Prather Show.
Yeah,
glad you're here. Got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Black Rifle Coffee Company. Black Rifle, as I'm sure you know, is a veteran-owned and operated premium small batch roast-to-order coffee company for people who, love America, like us. They import only the highest quality beans from around the world, and they only roast the coffees after you place the order, so you are getting the freshest coffee you can get. It's the freshest coffee available. They've got a ton of different varieties. They've got whole bean and ground varieties, and many roasts are also available as the single serve coffee rounds. Now, you can have it shipped directly to your home or office free every month if you join Black Rifle Coffee Club. So you can choose the blends that you like, and you get it for a discounted price, and then you're not up at like 10 o'clock at night trying to load the coffee maker, and you're like, oh crap, we're out of coffee, I gotta go to the store. Yeah, that doesn't happen because they ship it directly to you. Wake up to America's coffee by going to blackriflecoffee.com/Y. That is blackriflecoffee.com/Y. If you enter promo code Y, you get 20% off your first order, and that includes Black Rifle Coffee Club. That's a huge discount because you're already getting a discount for the coffee club. Then you get another discount. That is blackriflecoffee.com/Y. Enter promo code Y for that 20% off. All right. Got a lot to get into, you guys. The United States, as I'm sure everyone was talking about it on the Twitter sphere last night. The United States military did confirm that they have taken decisive action to protect U.S. personnel abroad by killing Qassem Soleimani, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And of course, this is a U.S. designated foreign terrorist organization. Now, Soleimani was actively developing plans to attack American diplomats and service members in Iraq. And of course, he and his forces were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American and coalition service members and the wounding of thousands more. He's orchestrated attacks on coalition bases in Iraq over the last several months, including the attack on December 27th. Not a great guy, not what you would call a friend to the United States. Still, that did not stop the Washington Post from tweeting about it. Breaking news, airstrike at Baghdad airport kills Iran's most revered military leader, Soleimani. Most revered military leader. Kind of leaving out some important context there. Gentlemen, I want to get your thoughts on why this matters. And then I want to get into some of the Democrat lawmakers' responses to this particular airstrike. Pat.
Well, it matters because somebody finally took action. And as President Trump said, this should have happened years ago. And it probably should have. It would have saved American lives. The other reason it matters is that now there's going to be some chaos, I'm afraid, in the Middle East. And we just have to have the stomach for it. Do we have the stomach for it or not? And it's unfortunate in that President Trump just kind of alluded to the fact that we're finally going to actually really once and for all pull out of Afghanistan, which would have been nice after 18 years. But I don't see that necessarily happening anytime soon. Instead, what I'm guessing will happen is we're going to ramp up our presence there a little bit to prepare for what may be the repercussions over this. Apparently, the guy was revered in Iran.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's just slightly under the supreme leader of the Ayatollah Khamenei. And he has a big deal there.
Seems a little odd, though, coming from an American mainstream media source to call him revered.
Yeah,
just like, who was the last terrorist that...
al-Baghdadi. He was an austere religious scholar.
Thank you. Austere religious scholar. So it just, these tweets come out and it doesn't really
And that was the same rag that wrote that headline.
Yes. Yeah,
so
exactly.
they're at least consistent.
Yeah. Jason, what are your thoughts? You're the foreigner at the table. You tell us what you think.
I mean, don't you think it would actually de-escalate the scenario a little bit? Because, I mean, they've been playing with the lion, now the lion retaliates a little bit, you know. But what from an outside perspective, what is a little bit scary for me, and actually pretty sad, is that the current administration will be knocked for killing a terrorist, but they won't say anything that probably the car he was driving and was paid by, like, the Obama administration. You know, it's stuff like that. And we see that. The world sees that. And they will stand up for terrorists, but they won't stand up for people like us from South Africa who actually support and the foundations of America and want to law-abide citizens. So I think it will actually de-escalate because they realize this, you know, if you rattle a dog's cage and, you know, that big dog's going to bite back, like Toby Keith says.
Chad, he does bring up a really great point. I mean, not only, you know, did Obama give them tons and tons of money, but I mean, I had so many people talking to me last night saying, well, I hope you're going to be the first one to enlist when this comes to war. And I'm like, haven't they already really been at war with us for 20 years? I mean, just because we've been neutered in our response doesn't mean that they haven't been treating this as they're at war with us.
Yeah, our foreign policy in that regard has been a ready, aim, 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 aim. And now people get pissed because Trump actually yelled fire, and we did that. And, you know, when people take to the streets in a nation yelling death to America and we're the great Satan, and that's their chants of the protesters, which we've consistently seen. And listen, I see all these people who are saying, oh, you know, Iran, we stand with Iran, we stand with Iran. Why didn't you stand with Iran when they were having these women's protests over there over the, you know, the mistreatment of women in the country? Now Trump's pretty amazing. I mean, he got the left to come out against a dog that took out al-Baghdadi. Now he's got them defending terrorists. It's a pretty amazing thing. I want Trump to come out with a tweet that says breathing is good for you. Because they'll immediately oppose breathing.
No.
Yeah, breathing is bad.
Breathing.
Breathing is bad.
We are anti-breathing.
How dare he?
Well, I mean, to your point, this guy was responsible for 17% of American deaths in Iraq. So let's see. Iran was responsible for the deaths of 608 U.S. soldiers during the Iraq War. Soleimani was, of course, the head of these forces carrying out those operations, killing American troops. It feels like back when Osama bin Laden, you know, we got him under Obama's watch, if you want to give Obama credit for it, whatever. But it feels like we could at least all come together and say this was a win for America. This was a good thing. We don't see that anymore.
Osama bin Laden carried out a major terrorist attack that we know about. It's obviously well publicized, 9/11. Of course, he was behind the 1993 attempts at the bombing. So we know Osama bin Laden, but people who are in the know, and I'm no expert of Middle East geopolitical, you know, Islamic politics. I'm not an expert there. I don't think anybody in the room is, and I don't know anybody who is. And certainly people on the Twitter sphere, they don't know anything. But I do know people, and I've seen people who are in the know who say that actually killing Soleimani was actually a bigger deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you really count what, you know, the swath and the path and the wake of this guy and the destruction he created, it's a bigger kill, if you will, than Osama bin Laden was.
Yeah. Wanted to bring into the conversation some of the responses from Democrat lawmakers who are suffering from very, very terrible cases of TDS. I really hope that they get better soon. Let's start with Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy, who said Soleimani was an enemy of the United States. That's not a question. The question is this. As reports suggest, did America just assassinate without any congressional authorization the second most powerful person in Iran, knowingly setting off a potential massive regional war? Who wants to go first? Your thoughts?
If I say the acronym NDAA, most people don't know what that means. National Defense Authorization Act, okay? Twice a year, Congress, almost carte blanche, without question, signs off on this thing. It allocates funds and budgets for all of our Department of Defense, everything that we do. If we're buying airplanes, if we're funding military actions, everything that we're doing. They're in essence saying, look, whenever we are affronted with a military threat, we have the ability to act on that executively. And that's exactly what Trump did. So to come out and say they don't have congressional authority, no, that's exactly what the NDAA provides in a situation like this. People weren't having these debates. They weren't suddenly all about Islam or religion or who this guy was whenever they were blocking, cargo ships in the Persian Gulf, or they were taking our boat, or they were storming our embassy the other day. Trump did what was fully in his right as the executive of this country to pull that trigger.
And couldn't you have said the same thing? Where was Chris Murphy when we killed Osama?
Exactly.
Where were you then?
And all of the many drone strikes and bombings that Obama did.
Right.
I don't recall hearing anything.
And I will also say that 3 days ago, Chris Murphy tweeted that we don't have basically anything behind our threats.
Yeah.
You know, we're just all talking,
Right.
no power.
Yeah.
Just can't
Well,
wait.
and he specifically blamed Trump for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out and said, I can't believe, Trump needs to step up, and now Trump steps up, and he just can't handle it. Jason?
I mean, can you blame anybody for keeping quiet before you bomb people or annihilate these terrorists? Because these Democrats, obviously, they're like an old faucet that's leaking because they're full of leaks. So let's say, okay, we're going to bring it to a table and 2 Democrats and 2 conservatives sit there and it's going to get out, and then the guy's going to get free, and then they're going to praise him. So how do they?
You're exactly right. I mean, they came out on Twitter and Chuck Schumer said, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't know about it because then they would have known about it.
Right.
I mean, look, the Democrats want Trump out. It doesn't matter what happens. They've tried everything. Russian collusion. There's been, there's been all these things. Now that the Ukraine, and I tweeted yesterday, I said, so are we not talking Ukraine anymore? Yeah. I mean, finally, nobody's talking about Ukraine. Where are the impeachment papers? What's going on? Where's Pelosi? It's amazing to me how much power they're trying to give Congress in all of these situations. Like Congress is the one who at the end of the day says it all.
Well, it's funny too that you mentioned that because, Ukraine, they want to impeach him for. I feel like they're setting this up so that they can add this to some sort of impeachment reason. Because I keep seeing abuse of power, and I'm like, are they positioning themselves to drop the Ukraine thing and start using this for impeachment?
Oh, they will. They will.
Oh,
I mean, Barack Obama, he enacted 7 drone strikes on. I mean, or however many drone strikes there were, and then they're bombing 7 different nations. Mm-hmm. Where were they then?
Right.
What were they talking about then? There was absolute silence on their part.
Yeah. A few other Democratic lawmakers before we go to break. Let's see. Senator Tom Udall. President Trump is bringing our nation to the brink of an illegal war with Iran with no congressional approval. Passing our bipartisan amendment to prevent unconstitutional war with Iran is urgent. Congress needs to step in immediately. Andy Levin. There is no question that Soleimani was an enemy of the United States. I feel no sadness at the news of his death. But, there's always that but there, I have serious concerns about this president's execution of a potential act of war without authorization of Congress. And then, this is one of my favorites, Blumenthal. Let's go to Blumenthal. Richard Blumenthal, Trump administration owes a full explanation of airstrike reports, all the facts to Congress and the American people. The present authorizations for use of military force in no way cover starting a possible new war. This step could bring the most consequential military confrontation in decades. I mean, how much more do they want us to take? Killing Americans, that's fine. What do we do? Invite them in for tea?
Well, according to Rose McGowan, yeah. In Hollywood, Hollywood's gone crazy. I mean, these folks in Hollywood they're nuts, basically saying, please don't kill us.
Yeah.
We're sorry. We're being held by a dictator here. Yes. We're hostages. I say let's have a hostage release program. I looked it up this morning on Priceline.com. They're not a sponsor, but I looked it up. You can get to Baghdad for $1,095. You got to go through Dubai. You can fly Emirates, great airline. Now, that's the closest I could get you to Tehran. So what I say is let's have a hostage release program. Okay. We'll donate $1,000, $1,100 per celebrity that wants to go. We'll release them into the Middle East. Now, ladies, bring a hat. It's going to take a little bit of a drive. The border crossing is a bitch, let me just tell you. But you can get to Tehran in just a matter of... Somebody commented on there, I posted a picture of that. Somebody said, that's actually a cheap flight. And I said, well, it's going to cost you your life.
Yeah.
So there's that.
All right, so if someone out there could go ahead and set up a GoFundMe so that we can start donating to those celebrities, we would appreciate it. Back in a minute.
That is the one GoFundMe I think I'd be willing to share on my pages.
Absolutely.
Never shared one, but I think I would.
So funny. Before we get back into the program, I want to talk to you about losing your hair. Losing your hair sucks, all right? And I'm not talking to just men. I'm talking to women, too, because it happens to all of us. Now, what you might not know is that the cause of your hair loss could be a hormone called DHT. And there is a possible solution. The FDA approved 2 hair treatment products that help control your DHT and prevent hair loss. It's even triggered hair regrowth in a really large percentage of guys. Now, until now, these products were really expensive. You got to go to a doctor and explain these embarrassing things that you don't want to talk about. All right, you don't have to do that anymore because Keeps offers the generic versions of these 2 FDA-approved hair products. They are up to 90% effective, and they're affordable. We got you half off to get you started. With Keeps, you can save your hair without ever leaving the couch. I mean, I hope that you leave your couch at some point in time because I don't want you living on your couch. No?
It's overrated.
Really? Okay.
Crazy world out
You
there.
don't have to leave your couch. You just answer a few questions online, take a few pictures of your hair. A licensed doctor will review it and recommend the treatment for you, and it's shipped discreetly to your door. You can go to keeps.com/Y. I got you a free online doctor consult and 50% off of your first order. Yeah, that's right. I said 50% off. Happy New Year to you. Go to keeps.com/Y. That is keeps.com/Y. All right. Our good friends, Lizzie Warren and Michael Bloomberg. We talked yesterday, I believe, Pat, we talked about the response to this Texas church shooting in White Settlement. We talked about the USA Today article where the columnist said that it was very terrifying that we had all of these other people who were carrying guns and willing to, save the lives of themselves and those around them. That's very terrifying for a USA Today op-ed writer. Let's hear what Elizabeth Warren has to say when she is asked by a voter at a town hall if she would be willing to support not just concealed carry, but concealed carry with government licensing and restrictions. Watch.
Last week, there was another church shooting. And the only thing that saved the rest of the congregation were the other 2 people who shot and took out the shooter. Would you support a universal concealed carry law for everyone in the country who's willing to be licensed and checked by the government?
No. All right. You'd think that there was more to that response, but
And there actually was. But
I promise, Glenn, look, this is going to mess up the microphone, but I went ahead and brought my straitjacket because either she's crazy or I'm crazy. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts.
we need to tie you up here.
Yeah, you need to put that thing in there.
But I don't think you're the one who needs it.
At this point, I'm going to harm myself. I mean, watching this stuff is pure ignorance. I mean, try to get close to any one of these people. Try to get close to Elizabeth Warren and see what happens. You're going to get smoked.
she said she doesn't feel safe sitting next to somebody with a concealed weapon. She does it every day. What are you talking about? She's got armed security nonstop, 24 hours of protection every day. And so does Bloomberg, who we're going to be talking about, too. The hypocrisy is just it's too much to take. I need one of those, too.
We all do.
I think we just need to have enough for the entire show.
Yeah.
We just pull it out whenever necessary.
Does this straitjacket make me look fat?
No comment. Jason, I do want to get your thoughts. Let's listen to Bloomberg kind of double down on what Elizabeth Warren is saying on gun control. And why would we want, average citizens able to protect themselves and those around them? Watch.
Congregation had their own gun and killed the person who murdered 2 other people. But it's the job of law enforcement to have guns and to decide when to shoot. You just do not want the average citizen carrying a gun in a crowded place.
Jason, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it not just sound like he's basically saying we want to leave innocent American citizens, law-abiding citizens, completely defenseless?
Completely defenseless, though. I mean, first of all, he looks like a ventriloquist. You can hardly see his mouth moving, But so the people like that don't realize that what's waiting for them in 5 years from now. Like, I'm a little poster boy for that. I know what's waiting for them because now you're not allowed to. You're now condoned because you are killing a criminal and protecting hundreds of other people, God-fearing people, actually, in a place of worship. Okay. And we're in a place like South Africa. A very good friend of mine was attacked by 4 people on his farm. And when the police, he shot one because they were biting him. They bit his 2 fingers almost completely off and they bite him because that's what the savages do there. And he shot and killed one. And the police got there and arrested him and take him to jail. And that's what's coming. That's what's on the doorstep. If these things like Elizabeth Warren, that they come and try past this and they want to take your guns and they want to change it, that's what's waiting for you. I hope you guys know that and personally know that. So it really is a time for Americans just to say, hey man, let's cling to what is good and say no to the Warrens and no to the Bloombergs. And it's incredible evil, man.
Pat, I had someone say to me about Elizabeth Warren, they said, look, she gave the answer she gave because she just wants it to be a states' rights thing. And I'm like,
No.
have you not seen all of their gun control plans that they would like to put into place if they were actually voted in? I mean, they don't care about the Second Amendment at all.
Have you also not seen what they have to say about states' rights? They don't believe in that at all.
Right.
The 10th Amendment to them is evil. It's not about states' rights to them. It's about gun confiscation. And at least the good thing right now is that some of them are just flat out saying it.
Yeah.
You know, you had Beto, who obviously did. Bloomberg has been saying that for years.
No, it didn't go well for him.
At least we know where they really stand. It used to be, and sometimes with some of them still is, oh, I love the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
But I'm just all about common sense gun control measures. Well, no, they're not. And at least the truth is coming out about that now.
Yeah. Jason, before we go to break, you know, you kind of alluded to what's going on in your home country of South Africa. Tell us why you're here. You're walking to the White House.
Yes, I'm actually walking to the White House. So it's 1,557 miles, and I'm actually doing it with a Trump hat. And I didn't realize that so many Americans hate America.
Yeah.
Like I was sworn at
It's weird,
yesterday.
right?
I mean, someone threw a Coca-Cola at me. I thought he was maybe giving it to me, and it came a bit fast, so I couldn't catch it. But yeah, I'm actually walking to the White House because there's a persecution of farmers in South Africa. My cousin, unfortunately, was shot through the back of the head, and he survived. The bullet came out front, and they beat his little 8-year-old daughter and his 10-year-old daughter with a crowbar. Jeez. And, they really do that. And, they're raping 24-month-old babies and younger. And they do this in front of the parents. And like the political party known as the EFF, it's very ironic how the economic freedom fighters of the world always become the most violent, right? And they're standing up and they're saying, like, one settler, one bullet. And because they want to initiate that they kill all the white farmers. And they're doing it. So what they do is they rape the men in front of the wives and children. And then they strip the wives completely naked, rape them in front of their children, and then they technically try leave the women and children, after they've raped them, male and female, they try leave them alive and kill the husbands so that they can sell the farms, because none of the farmers, they want to expropriate the land without compensation. So if you own a ranch and you owe $1 million, because of your skin color, I'm allowed to take it away and you still got to pay off the debt. So
And you've talked about that on your show, and people have said that's not happening.
Conspiracy theory is what they call it. They say all the time that it's not happening.
Yeah.
Well,
You've actually seen it with family members.
My family members. My dad's actually a pastor, so I've been raised under biblical law and under grace, So, and I've been around and I've been looking at what's going on, and it's just it's tear jerking, and that's why someone like Katie Hopkins goes and makes a thing called a documentary called The Killing Fields. And it's broad daylight, and they literally talk to the government officials, and they say, we are going to slit the throat of whiteness. And we're going to kill all the whites, and we're going to boil them in a pot like a frog. They won't know they're being boiled, and they won't be able to jump out. And this is happening, and this is 2020. And Americans ask, like, okay, why should we be concerned? I say, because our enemy is the very people that are your enemies. These leftist media, these mobs, and these Democrats, unfortunately, are over there, and they're hiding it. They are completely hiding it. And the third biggest political party is standing up and asking for a genocide of the white farmers and people in South Africa, and nobody says anything. I mean, so you got to put one and two together. Why are like George Soros is, why has he got non-profits in South Africa but nothing in Zimbabwe? There's complete famine. And why is it America's concern, just as I finish, is the fact that if the farmers are extinct, the white farmers in South Africa are extinct, then you're going to have a mass immigration problem in America, because then everybody's going to say, we're starving, we need something. Where do we go? We go to the land of the free, where Elizabeth Warren wants to take your defense away and make sure that you become like South Africa. That's why it's so concerning for Americans.
And it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you kill all the farmers and you turn it over to use your word, savages, because anybody that does that to another human, I don't care the color of your skin, you're a savage.
Yeah.
You can't feed your own.
Yeah.
You can't feed your own people.
Yeah. All right, back in a minute. It's incredible.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go on too long there.
No, you're good.
No.
Hey, coming up in overtime, a judge has ruled that a Texas hospital can remove an 11-month-old baby off of life support, and this is, of course, without the consent of the baby's parents. Also, Marvel, as promised, set to debut first openly transgender character. The movie's being shot right now. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. We've been asking for it. Now it's finally here. You got to go to BlazeTV.com. We'll see you there.